Issues. All right, Shannon. Will Nash and KD be able to coexist this season?
They have to, but it's going to be very, very difficult. And I get what Steve Nash is saying, but it's hard when you know this player called for your job. Because when it came out that it happened, normally when things come out and Kevin Durant says, I didn't say that, he'll say, I didn't say that. At no point in time in the last 3 months since this thing has come to, that had gotten out, Kevin Durant has never, ever denied that he called for Sean Marks and Steve Nash jobs.
How can he deny it?
Exactly.
He did.
Exactly. So Steve Nash said, well, that's not exactly. Oh, well, there might be some other things that wasn't exactly, but exactly this, I feel very comfortable in saying this transpired. It's hard. Steve Nash doesn't have a choice, Skip, because he has to coach this team. He was bestowed a very, very, I don't know what, for lack of a better word, Skip, he was given a golden opportunity.
He was.
Because the guy that had no coaching experience was getting an opportunity to coach Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, a team that many thought.
James Harden.
And James Harden. Well, Harden wasn't there at the time, but he would later get James Harden. So he landed into an ideal situation. Do you know how many head coaches would love to coach their very first coaching job? Would get a historically great player.
Although in the bigger picture, you could say that could be a coach's worst nightmare. Those three. Okay.
You might be right, Skip. So for me, and Skip, you still got that issue with KD asking for the head coach and general manager's job. You still have Kyrie being Kyrie. And you have Ben Simmons. Now, Ben Simmons says, hey, my issues that I had in Philly, they're behind me now. I've gone to counseling. I've done all the things that I need. My back is healthy. So we're going to see how that plays out, Skip. But no, and another thing, it's not a foregone conclusion that Kevin Durant won't ask for a trade during the middle of the season or next year. So that's always going to be hanging over Brooklyn Nets' heads because he's done it before. But let me tell you something about Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant said something very interesting back in 2018 when it came around LeBron James and the media attention that he commands create a toxic environment. He said so much hype comes from being around LeBron from other people, Durant said. He has so many fanboys in the media, even beat writers just fawn over him. I'm like, we're playing basketball out here. It's not even basketball at certain points. So I get why anyone want to be in that environment because of toxicity. Remember, I used to say all the time, be careful because you will become the very thing you despise the most in a person. Kevin Durant created a toxic environment, toxicity.
Did he create it?
Yes, he did. He asked for the trade. He did that. Him and Kyrie came together as a package deal. Did you not think they shipped out Karis LeVert and Dinwiddie and Jared Allen because Kevin Durant didn't want James Harden or he wanted James Harden? Do you think Steve Nash is the head coach because Kevin Durant didn't or did want him? Considering we're family, we had a great relationship. Remember, we worked together in Golden State. So that environment that Kevin Durant did not want, he created one in Brooklyn. He created that. Own that. Own it.
He does.
No,
Does he backtrack?
No. He ain't all up there. Hey, everybody keep talking about family and family. Nah. My kids try to leave me, talking about, nah, Dad, we vacating your rights. You no longer, whoa, y'all better slow this thing down. After I done all this for y'all gonna talk about y'all ready to go this thing alone. Y'all better wait till y'all get 18 to get up out of here. Ain't nobody no 14, 15 vacating nobody's right.
So first of all, I appreciate you bringing up that 2018 quote because that's my all-time favorite KD quote about LeBron. So many fanboys in the media. Go, KD, go.
Yeah, and so many fanboys have let Kevin Durant skate. When he's done everything.
I don't think anybody lets him skate.
Don't do that, Skip.
He bites the hand that fed him an MVP. He says you guys don't know SH about
and
basketball.
what do y'all do? And y'all still turn around, even though the man say y'all don't know poop about basketball, y'all still turn around and talk about he the best in basketball. He tell y'all didn't know nothing. He said y'all don't know anything.
Okay, so here's what actually happened through the offseason. Kevin Durant said, get me out of here because he was sick and tired of all the, as you say, bull jive from Kyrie Irving. He made a mistake. He followed the wrong guy to Brooklyn. He wants out. He's got to get out because the environment is no longer stable enough to produce a championship, says Kevin Durant.
He's part of that environment.
Okay, well, he's more follower than leader. He's never tried to own any kind of leadership. He just plays at a higher level than LeBron plays, but that's a whole other issue. No, he's the best player on the planet. He's not the best leader on the planet, and you can
That's
say
a
they're
part of it,
part
right?
and parcel.
Yeah.
You can say, but again, when it's time to ball, he just flat out balls with no drama. He just goes and plays.
Just imagine if LeBron and Steph Curry and Giannis could do, all they had to do was ball. Ain't have to worry about leadership. Ain't have to worry about getting the guys ready to make sure everybody's in the right frame of mind. Just imagine.
Just imagine.
If Magic and Bird and Jordan didn't have to worry about anything, just go hoop.
Yeah.
That would be a great feeling to be able to have.
LeBron James led the Lakers to 33-49 last year, and they missed the play-in tournament. LED, the Lakers.
What about that championship?
Interesting.
Has Kevin Durant got a championship?
Bubble-licious.
Okay. Does Kevin
kept them together in the bubble. Nobody else wanted to stay in the bubble except LeBron said, I smell
think about what you
opportunity to steal a ring.
Think about what you just said. A leader kept them together in the bubble. Had Kevin Durant been in that situation, what would have happened? Come on, Skip.
So Kevin Durant was backed into a corner by Joe Tsai, who just said, Kevin, I just gave you 4 more years. You owe me 4 more years. I'm not going to let you out. I'm not going to give you away. I'm sorry.
Right.
So Kevin gets more and more desperate, and he says, I got to go with ultimatum. I got to say publicly, either you fire Steve Nash and Sean Marks or let me go.
Yeah.
Because he thought maybe that would be enough. That would just blow it up completely, where Joe Tsai would have no choice but to get him out from under Kyrie.
He said, what if I keep all 3 of you?
Well,
Joe Tsai said, I keep all 3 of you.
And he did that. And he had the right to do that. He had the power to do that. And he exercised said power. And I think every owner in the league stood up quietly and applauded him for saying, I'm going to hold you to the 4 years on your contract. And I told you, I don't love that about Kevin Durant because, unfortunately, you signed the dotted line, and you got 4 more years that you owe that man upstairs.
But Skip, I've heard you for 6 years that we've been on this show. You put leadership very, very high on your list when it comes to people being able to execute and play from Jordan and Kobe.
Okay, but I have seen Kevin lead by example. I have seen him take over an Olympic team against competition that Shannon Sharpe told me was way better than ever, that it was a threat to our dominance internationally. Isn't that what you told me? Way better. I saw him night after night say, I got this. You guys, we're in trouble. I got this. Watch what I got. Watch us against Australia.
Well, then why did he do that against Boston Celtics?
Okay,
why did he say, I got this? I got this. Watch me take over.
The team had crumbled.
Oh, not the team crumbled.
Well, you know it had. Everybody, he told, who was it, Mike James, he said before, we're done. We shouldn't even go out there.
Can he get it done or can he not?
Okay, so now let's go back to Steve Nash. I feel sorry for Steve Nash because right out of the box, Kyrie says, we don't even need a coach.
Right.
That right there. That's when I really started feeling sorry for a guy, and our younger generation viewers out there probably don't remember this. Steve Nash won 2 MVPs in this league. Back-to-back MVPs, and the second one was debatable because I thought Shaq should have won it.
I did too.
But whatever, Steve Nash did that.
He did it.
At about, they list him at 6'3", I don't know.
Whatever.
Might be 6'2"-ish.
1-ish.
But, okay, 6'1"-ish. But he did that.
He did.
Back-to-back, it's hard. It's hard to win one, let alone back-to-back.
Yes.
He was that good. And speaking of leadership, everybody that I knew around the league would rave about quietly how Steve Nash led the Phoenix Suns. They went to dinners together. He organized them. He was a leader. They didn't ever win at the highest level, but they were pretty great.
Well, they came close until Robert Ory shoved him, and then Amari came off the bench, and that was it.
That was it against my San Antonio Spurs. That was as close as they ever got. Yep. But the point is, I respect what this man did.
Right.
It doesn't matter 1 ounce once he becomes a head coach in this league, because as the years pass, less and less do the players in that locker room have respect for the fact that once upon a time, many moons ago, he won back-to-back MVPs. But he deserves more respect than these guys are giving him.
Right.
So for me personally, if I were in Steve Nash's shoes, I don't think I could ever quite get over this one. Well, he's saying all the right things. But this was huge for him to admit. We saw the little quote. He didn't say it with much force. He didn't say it with his chest, but he said, you heard it right there. It was a little garbled, but we had a moment and it's behind us. But he admitted we had a moment, meaning we had to hash this out.
Skip, it's different. LeBron James saying, okay, I don't want to play for David Blatt anymore. There's no prior history between LeBron James and David Blatt.
And David Blatt was gone. I mean, LeBron got him gone, and that's fine with me because I never saw anything from David Blatt where I said, oh, he's the answer from Cleveland, right?
Kevin Durant and Steve Nash had a history prior to them ever linking up in Brooklyn, in Golden State. Right.
And Kevin does know and appreciate basketball history, and he knows full well what Steve Nash did on the basketball court.
But here's the thing, what a leader would have done. When Kyrie says we don't need a coach, a leader would have said, hey, Steve Nash was a great mind.
I got
a great basketball player, and we can all learn a lot. But that's not what he did. He allowed this thing to get out there, and it festered. And so now you undercut the man. That's your head coach. And so everybody's like, well, Kyrie said we don't need no head coach. Kyrie, what you think we should do? KD, what you think we should do? That's what leaders do. Even when your boy says something that's out of pocket, a leader, hey, that was wrong. You shouldn't have said that.
Okay.
And now you come out and says, okay, yeah, we do need a coach.
Okay, I got it. But after Kevin issued his ultimatum, if I were Steve Nash, and this is very easy for me to say sitting right here in this chair,
Right.
I would have quit.
No, I ain't quitting.
I would have just said, no, I'm out.
He ain't running me off.
Okay, but I still believe Steve Nash is respected enough that he could get another job in this league, and maybe that's what he needs is to start fresh somewhere else with a team that's more coachable than this team.
But here's the thing, Skip. How you gonna get another job? They say, well, hell, you couldn't win with KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. How the hell you?
It depends if they know what the real score was behind the scenes.
Yeah, we know the real score
was.
First of all, coaches, unless you like a Pop that you can command. I mean, Pop over time. Pop got Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan bought in. He had David Robinson at the tail end. Skip, if you get your best player to buy in.
But it's all about Tim Duncan. He was Tom Brady for Popovich.
Thank you.
He was the one who went in the locker room every afternoon and said before the game, just ignore him. It's okay.
Thank you.
Pop is getting away with what Belichick used to get away with, and Belichick's having to change with the times because he doesn't have the Brady buffer anymore.
The same thing. If Tim Duncan would have said, man, we don't need no coach. Well, Pop is rendered useless.
Useless.
If Tom Brady says, we don't, man, come on. Hey, it's rendered useless. So by them doing what they did to Steve Nash, everybody, they're not listening to him.
I agree.
They're not listening.
And yet, when I watch him actually coach, I'm not sure what he does. So I haven't been able to grade him high as a strategic coach. And it might be because they're impossible to coach. It might be because they don't listen to anything he says. It might be because they say, no, I'm not coming out. You know,
that might be the case, Skip. But you know, any great coach, any coach, if he's ever had great players, he's never going to get the credit that he deserves. Steve Nash, I think Steve Nash, but you got Steph Curry. He just got the greatest shooter of all time. Look at the situation that he got. Look at Jordan. Look at Phil Jackson. He had Jordan. He had Pippen. He had Kobe. He had Shaq.
He did.
Tim Duncan. You had Tim Duncan. You had Admiral. You had Kawhi. You had Tony Parker. You had They're never going to get the credit. So it does. I mean, Pat, right? Damn, Pat, you did have Magic and Kareem for a decade. You should have won 5 championships.
Okay, I'm glad you brought up Phil Jackson. I was around him for a year, 1998, got to know him a little bit, got to observe him very closely. He was the greatest juggler of superstar egos I've ever seen.
That's what you got to be.
He was an average at best player in the league for the Knicks, as you remember, on a championship team. But he's 6 feet 8 inches tall, so he could literally stand up to the players in the locker room, and they respected him because of his size, his stature, and the way he commanded the locker room because he had that Zen master sort of presence to him. I don't sense any real presence from little Steve Nash.
No.
So they're all looking down on him. Even Kyrie, I think, is looking a little down on him.
But here's the thing. The thing that Phil had working for him is that he got Jordan to buy in. Once Jordan bought in, Shaq and Kobe's going to buy in, Scottie Pippen and everybody else. Skip, Steve Nash has never had those guys buy in.
Nope.
So if Kyrie and KD not buying in, why the hell am I going to buy in?
Yeah, and I think Steve Kerr's attitude is more, hey, do you guys know who I used to be? Do you know who I am? I'm Steve Nash.
I got 2.
Yeah.
There have been a lot of guys that's won MVPs, but there have been very few that's won back-to-back. I mean, you talk about Skip. You talk about greats of the greats. You talk about Chamberlain and Russell and Bird and Magic and Jordan, LeBron and Giannis. Little old Steve Kerr, little old 6. Okay, give him 6'3". Steph Curry, back-to-back. That's the category that man's in. No matter what you think about him as a head coach, as a player, he did that.
He wasn't a great shooter, but he was a good shooter, and he was a great passer.
He didn't shoot a whole lot, but his free throw percentage, I think he's like 89, 90%.
He was.
He can make the three. He didn't take a whole bunch of them. He wasn't Steph Curry shooting threes.
No.
But when he shot them, I expected him to go in because that's how good a touch he had.
He had a touch. And you want to talk about distribute? They ran that offense where he'd be in the middle and just distribute all around.
They was getting up and down.
And it was 7 seconds or less where they are rolling up and down the court.
Yes.
Okay, so the point is, Kevin, Kyrie, James, maybe even Ben Simmons, they're like, and?
Right.
That was a long time ago.
Because you know what it is, Skip? Every last one of those players look at and says, I'm better than Steve Nash.
That is correct. Every one of them.
So, yeah, you won those MVPs, but Kyrie doesn't have a league MVP. But he said, I'm better than Steve Nash. KD, I'm better. James Harden, I'm better.
Absolutely.
So, Skip, it's not, especially that, because obviously, you look at it, Phil, and you look at Pop and Steve Kerr, obviously they think they're better than those guys. But if you talk about a guy that's won MVPs, and you already, bro, that ain't got nothing to do. He's trying to coach you. It's not your resume against his now.
Okay. The final reason I still feel sorry for Steve Nash is now he's got to deal with a Ben Simmons. Let's ask if we could put Doc on a lie detector right now. What do you think he would say about coaching Ben Simmons? He would say it's impossible, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's hard to coach him.
Right.
It's hard to coach KD. It's the hardest to coach Kyrie. And now, good luck, Steve Nash.
The problem is, Skip, everybody wants a boatload of good players. But the more good players you have, the more egos that become involved. And the more and more you have to massage those egos. I agree,
unless one of the three is completely bought in.
The best one. Right. If Kevin Durant bought in hook, line, and sinker and addressed the Kyrie situation from the jump, everything would have been smooth sailing.
And now the whole locker room knows Kevin wanted him gone.
Yes.
Well, this is a recipe for disaster. Yeah. That's what I think.
Substitute. Okay. Man, you're not my real teacher. I want you, or you're supposed to be up out of here. But it's tough, Skip. It's tough because you mentioned they had a relationship. Kevin Durant wanted him. When Sean Marks came to him, we think about hiring Steve Nash. Oh, yeah, I work with him.
But remember, in Golden State, it was a stress-free relationship because he was just an advisor on the fringe.
Right.
So you could have nice little chats after practice.
Right. He's not,
no big deal.
Right.
He doesn't have to command the room.
But he down there working with Steph and KD and getting them right and one-foot shots and all this and blindfolded.
Yep.
And the man wanted me gone. Damn, KD, I thought I was your boy.
Whew.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Subscribe here to get the very latest from Skip and Shannon. Plus, go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.